Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, depending on where you are seeing this video from. I'm Mr. Akimbode Damilola, the lead analyst at Potential Miners International. In today's episode of the Global Macro with King of Waves, I will show you how to be able to identify what to trade per time. And this is very important because we notice that a lot of traders, they just get to the forex market, they just pick pairs at random, and they will now begin to apply their strategy. And oftentimes, what happens is that what strategy they have used probably on a particular currency pair before, they now use it on another currency pair, they realize that it's not working. This is because there is no structure framework with which they use in selecting the asset to trade. And this is very important. You know, it's very important that a trader define why he's picking a particular currency pair at any point in time. And there's no how you can do this other than when you go through the perspective or the route of the global macro. Global macro means when you begin to view the forex market or the financial market from the global perspective, you are able to look at what is happening, economically, politically, geopolitically, across different countries of the world. And of course, that is going to determine the tone or the nature or pattern of capital flow. So, very quickly, today being the first episode of this particular live stream engagement, I'm going to really take my time to explain what we will be covering. And this is to really set the tone for the journey looking forward. Potential Miners International is a research platform. We started operation 2015 and we have been operating over the years. And 6 years ago, we decided to launch our research into the financial market to really understand or to know how does this financial market work. Then how can we approach this financial market such that people can leverage on the strength of this market to make passive income or active income for themselves, as the case may be. And we have been able to come up with a very robust structure of analysis, and that is what we call the PMI Global Macro Trading System. This trading system captures both the fundamental analysis, the sentiment analysis, and the technical analysis. And in this particular wing of the YouTube channel, we are going to be coming up every week to have a discussion of the tone of the market, especially in terms of the fundamental and the sentiment. And of course, when we have the privilege, we'll still show you one or two metrics that will help you to know the likely direction of the market from the technical perspective. And this is to help struggling traders or traders that are just coming into the market to really start their trading journey from a very professional standpoint. You don't want to get to the market and just open the market and pick an asset without having a valid reason why you are picking the asset, or you don't have any projection or forecast where this particular asset is going, in the nearest future. This is very dangerous, especially for traders that want to come to the market and make some money for themselves, probably to fix some of their current financial needs, and they will be frustrated eventually. So I want you to really to stay glued with us, and I'm going to go straight into what we have for you today. At Potential Miners International, what we did is that we tried to simplify the process of the global macro when it comes to the forex market. Because when you talk of global macro, you are looking at different indicators. You have economic indicators, you have different, metrics, sentiment metrics, that at the end of the day, if you are not careful, you might be confused and you might fall into the precipice or the problem of what we call the analysis paralysis. So to avoid all of that, we have we have been able to structure our global macro in the context of the forex market in such a way that somebody can apply it easily. And I'm going to be showing you how we have been able to, the metrics that we have been able to come up with that will really help you. But what is important is for you to know the different phases of the global macro analysis that we'll be doing here, every Tuesday possibly, so that you can follow through, and if possible, you can learn how to do it yourself. So the first phase of our global macro analysis is the fundamental analysis. And this is very important. In fact, what we have been able to do is to come up with a particular focus indicator that every other indicators, whether especially the economic indicator, dovetail into. And that is very important, and that is going to be the indicator of focus when it comes to global macro, in the context of forex market. Now let me quickly show you what I'm talking about. You see, when you begin to analyze macroeconomics, you begin to talk of indicators like the gross domestic product. You begin to talk of indicators like the employment rate, the unemployment rate, the employment figure, like the non-farm payroll in the case of the United States. You begin to talk of the inflation rate, maybe quarter on quarter, year on year, or month on month. You begin to talk of different sentiment gauges and all of that, retail sales and all of that. You see, when you bring all this macroeconomic indicator into your analysis, if you are not careful, you will be confused of what direction am I looking out for when it comes to a particular currency pair. So that is why we are taking our analysis a step further to establish the fact that, you see, all these indicators from GDP to inflation rate to unemployment rate, everything dovetail into the decision of the interest rate. And that is what is important. And in our own global macro analysis, we are going to be focusing on that. So when we want to start our analysis, the global macro analysis, to be able to pick assets to focus on for the week, for the month, or for the quarter, what we will do is that we want to look at what is the interest rate like. What is the interest rate like? If you pick maybe United States dollars now, you want to look at what is the current state of interest rate. It's very important. If you have enough of time, you might overview where the interest rate is coming from, and you might now follow up, if you have enough of time, to say when is the next period for interest rate decision. This is very important, and when we come to our fundamental analysis, we have narrowed our analysis down to interest rate position. Other indicators are important. However, the focus of our analysis, when we are focusing on the fundamental phase, I said the global macro with King of Waves is going to capture both the fundamental phase, the sentiment storyline, I mean to say, and the technical storyline. You see, the technical storyline, we are just going to give you overview of the directional bias and probably the structure and tide of different choice of pairs that we just decide to analyze. So, but trade signals might not come, because we don't want to force any trade during this live session. That is why we are going to be creating a Telegram channel where you can just be a part. It's going to be free, such that when the conditions are now building up, we can advise ourselves on the platform to say You might need to look at maybe GBP, JPY, something is loading on it. That's what we are going to be doing. So for today, I don't want to waste your time. I really want you to be able to see. I want to hope that you can see what I'm showing in terms of the interest rate. Okay, let me see. I want to be able to. I want to be able to. Okay, I want to be able. Okay, I think you are good. Perfect. You should be able to see it now, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. All right. Uh-huh. Now the first thing you want to do when you want to Because at my hand, I think everything is good. Can you hear me now? Oh, okay. Can you hear me now? I think you should be able to hear me now. All right, let me just move on because of time. I think you should be able to hear me now. Okay, okay. Thank you, sir. God bless you. I think I can see you, Mr. Adoraman. Thank you. All right. So let's just continue. How do you? Hey, I was saying that you are to focus on the three top currencies with the highest interest rate and the three currencies with the least interest rate, which means that given this arrangement of the interest rate as of today, 13th of January 2026, GBP, USD, and AUD they are the highest. They are the currencies with the highest interest rate. While Euro, JPY, and CHF are the currencies with the lowest interest rate. I just want you to put this to heart. You are not to jump into a decision because of this. Remember that what we are looking out for is a very wide interest rate divergence. This is very central to your trading, you see. But now, let me say this, when we carry out fundamental analysis, especially this simplified version of fundamental analysis, this is just the identification protocol. If you have been following us on this channel, you will notice that you must have heard me mention identification protocol, optimization protocol. Then, when we now get to the technical, that is where we now initiate a trade, and we have step-by-step guide for doing all of these things. So that we don't waste much of our time. Today is the first episode of this global macro with King of Waves, and I want this this particular live stream to be at maybe maximum of 45 minutes or 30 minutes, so that we can just overview the market together for each week, or maybe for each month, or for each quarter. Then we can now set the ball rolling, and probably will now be posting trade signals on our Telegram channel, as much as for those people that connect to the Telegram channel. So I want you to take note of GBP, USD, and AUD, and also take note of JPY, Euro, and CHF. Now, the next analysis that we are to do is what we call the sentiment analysis, or the risk sentiment overview of the market. And this is what we call the optimization protocol. It's very important. Don't worry, we are still going to get to the chart. I will pick two or three currency pairs, then I will probably give my suggestion, as to where these currency pairs might be heading to in the next 2 to 3 weeks, or maybe in the next 1 to 2 weeks, or thereabout. Now, so the next analysis is what we call the sentiment analysis, and it's very important for you to know that we have also narrowed down all of the metrics that you can worry yourself about into 5 different indices, and these indices will give you clear overview of what the market is probably going to do looking forward based on the risk sentiment overview. So let me just walk you through the metrics so that you can understand. And of course, believe me, you just take your time. We are going to come here live every week to have this type of discussion, such that you will not be trading on a pair that is going nowhere. You see, I saw somebody say he wants to trade NZD card, and this person happens to be the tagged profitable forex trader. And in my mind, as he was calling the trade, I already know that this trade is not going anywhere. Why? Because the fundamental analysis and the sentiment analysis is not pointing to the fact that NZD card can go anywhere. And he doesn't know. And he's a profitable, seemingly YouTube rated, highly rated, profitable forex trader. And he doesn't know. I don't know why, a lot of people do not know some of these things, and they claim that they want to work they want to play in the forex market for a long time. That is why you will see a lot of traders, they will just say, I take ratio 1 to 1. Once it's ratio 1 to 1, you take your profit. And then I begin to ask myself, if you are taking profit at ratio 1 to 1, where is going to be your edge? Then what is likely going to be the hedge that you will leverage on? Because in this forex market, you will lose, you will win. But when you win, what is the ratio of your return to your risk as compared to when you lose?
Somebody enter the trade following a professional, seemingly or profitable, don't let me say professional, profitable YouTube, highly rated forex trader. He entered the trade and he's saying that he's ready to lose $100. But when the trade gets to $120 in profit, he's going to close the trade. And I begin to ask myself, what are you talking about? If you are trading like this and you are a so-called profitable YouTube forex trader, and people follow you like this, it means you are going to lead them astray. With due respect to everybody that says online or whatever you call yourself, with due respect, because there is no reason to judge anybody
me see. Okay, can you hear me now? Mute again. Mute again. Please, can you hear me now, sir? Please, if you can hear me now, let me know. Please, if you can hear me now, let me know. It's very important that you can hear me. Oh, hey, mute again. Please, can you hear me now? Mute. You should be hearing me now. Yes, yes, thank you. So I'm very sorry. I wasn't looking at the chart at the moment. I was just lost in the analysis. Pardon me. Okay, now you can now hear me. So I want to believe that looking forward, you will still be able to hear me because I think everything is in order now. So let's now go straight into what are the assets we should be looking out for this week. That's the idea. So we have been able to conclude that the risk sentiment of the market now is risk on dollar aversion. Risk on dollar aversion. I want you to probably search some of the videos on this channel on risk sentiment. I've done video that explain what risk on means and what different sentiment in the market means, where capital will be flowing out of, where capital will be flowing into. If you have not seen some of those videos, you might need to look for them on this channel. So if I say risk on dollar aversion, you already know what and what assets will be attracting capital and what assets will be repelling capital. So, but then without further ado, let's just go straight into the choice of assets we are to pick. Now, at Potential Miners International, we have been able to capture our research into our assets, I mean to say, into two different categories. And those categories will help you really to be able to know what and what to focus on. We call the first one PMI majors. PMI majors. I want you to look at this, and this include the gold, this include BTC, Bitcoin, this include Euro USD, this include CHF JPY, this include GBP JPY, this include USD JPY and GBP USD. These are the 7 major assets that we look into. We now have 5 minors, PMI minors, and this include AUD JPY, Euro JPY, GBP NZD, GBP AUD, GBP CAD. So these are the assets that we look into anytime we want to do our analysis. So today I'm just going to pick maybe 2 assets, you know, in out of the majors and probably one out of the minor, so that we'll just analyze it together. What we are to analyze is capital flow. You look at the capital flow in connection with the sentiment of the market. We have been able to come up with a conclusion from the sentiment analysis that the sentiment tone of the market as of today, 13th of January 2026, is risk on dollar aversion. Now we will now pick this asset, then we will now analyze the capital flow narrative of this asset. Then I will tell you what is the directional bias and probably the structure and the tide, so that you will know when to position for trade. I think you are good with that. If you can still hear me, just type 1 in the chat box so that we know that we are all good. I want to believe that you can still hear me anyway. Just type 1 in the chat box if you can still hear me. So, okay, let me just move on. I want to assume you can hear me now because everything is good on my setup here, so that I will not be speaking to myself. So let's now go straight. Let's pick the first asset. I know an average trader wants to look at gold even when you don't have capital to trade it. Let's look at gold. What are we expecting on gold? What are we expecting on gold? Like I said, when we pick any asset, the first thing we want to do is to expatiate on the capital flow narrative of that asset based on the sentiment overview that we have been able to establish. So if we have a risk on dollar aversion sentiment, What that implies is that there is a valid reason for gold to buy from the sentiment perspective. Why? Because there is still a tone of aversion of dollar, which means confidence in dollar and of course confidence in the United States economy is still not established yet. So if we have risk on dollar aversion, we should be looking for a buy position on gold. So even without doing any technical analysis on gold, we are not going to be selling on gold because we still have risk on dollar aversion sentiment, except if the sentiment says otherwise. That's how you position for trade, so that when you now enter trade you can sleep. It's not as if all your trade will end up as a profitable trade, but whichever trade that will not end up as a profitable trade will not disturb your emotion because you have your analysis intact, you have done everything you need to do. So like I said, the capital flow narrative is that because of the aversion of dollar that we still have in the market, gold is still expected to push up. Are you getting it now? So let me now quickly show you or tell you what is the directional bias and the structure and tide. I'm not calling trade now. I just want to give you this. If you really want to enter trade with me, you might need to be a part of the Telegram channel. I will probably look for a way to add the link to the Telegram channel to this video so that you can just be there. It's free. Just connect. When the trade setup is now building up, I can advise you to position for a trade, on a particular asset depending on what we can see in the market. But then we have been able to establish that gold, we are expecting a buy in the market. All other things held constant. All other things held constant. As of today, 13th of January 2026, for the week and probably into next week, we are expecting a buy on gold. Based on our analysis, this is not an investment advice. This is our expectation. Are you getting it now? So, but if you want to trade like we trade at Potential Miners International, the first thing you want to do when you get to the technical storyline now, I mean the technical analysis, is that you look at the directional bias. You look at the directional bias. Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I can see that you can hear me. All right. Now, the directional bias. So, the directional bias for gold is a buy. So, all over the world, if you are a member of Potential Miners International, you will not be selling gold. As long as you belong to this platform and you trust our judgment and our way of trading, you are not expected to sell on gold. Why? Because on the technical storyline, even apart from the sentiment overview, on the sentiment storyline, the directional bias is a buy. You see that now. In fact, since November 2023, we have not been selling gold based on the analysis, based on our analysis now. Based on our analysis, we have been positioning for a buy on gold since. So, and it will not change this week. So it means for this week, I'm probably looking forward, we are expecting a buy on gold. But this is just the directional bias. Let me help you to check the structure and type. You know, I said that at Potential Miners International, we don't stress ourselves with too much analysis. We just look at indices, index, we look at tools. What are these tools telling us? So we are not stressing ourselves with anything. So when you come to your daily, you want to see what is happening with the tide. The tide is saying buy, which means the predominant trend on gold is still a buy. Now we want to look at what is the structure. If the predominant trend is still a buy, what is the structure like? The structure has given us a break of structure to the upside. You can see this. So By tomorrow, we'll be looking out for a buy on gold. I'm just saying this. Many looking at this, we expect today to close as a corrective day for gold, which means this candle that is forming up is going to close as a bearish candle, which means a red candle. So tomorrow is going to be Wednesday. Tomorrow into Thursday, we can now look out for our condition for entry on gold. All other things held constant. You get it now. I think I've been able to do justice to gold. Let's go to BTC. Last week we were not able to start this live stream, but as at last week we have been looking at what BTC will do, and we are expecting that BTC is going to still push up. That's our expectation based on our analysis. So let's look at what is the capital flow narrative for BTC. Capital flow narrative. Remember that I said that the conclusion for our sentiment overview is risk on dollar aversion, which means that if nothing changes, we expect that Bitcoin should buy on the strength of dollar aversion and risk on. I want you to get that now. For BTC, whenever there is risk on, investors will push money into Bitcoin. If there is risk on in the market, investors will push money into Bitcoin. And if there is risk off, investors they want to pull their capital away from Bitcoin. Now, you now have risk on plus dollar aversion. Excuse me. That means that we have enough of sentiment rationale to position for a buy on Bitcoin. However, I'm not calling a trade now. This is just the capital flow narrative based on the sentiment overview. I think you get it now. Now, let's now go to what is our directional bias. You will see that Bitcoin is still showing a bi-directional bias. So we are good. The next question you ask yourself is what is the tide and the structure? Currently, the structure is showing a buy structure, but the tide is still not yet to be a buy structure. So we are still going to stay put on BTC until we have BTC push up to this side and close above the cloud. We are not going to buy. This is how you can trade in the forex market and not develop high blood pressure for yourself. I want you to just believe when I say this. This is how you can see the market and not have high blood pressure. Are you getting it now? BTC is we are looking out for a buy. However, the directional bias is a buy as of today. The structure is showing a buy, but the tide is yet to be a buy, so we are still going to wait. So we are hoping that maybe between now and next week or probably upper week, if dollar aversion continues, then we can have a massive push up on BTC. That's just by the way of projection. You get it now. So let's go to maybe let's pick GBP JPY. Last week we entered a trade on GBP JPY and we were able to cash ratio 1:5 for the cash flow model. Ratio 1:4, I mean to say. And of course, I was able to enter a trade on USD JPY last week and we were able to cash another ratio 1:4. Why did I enter this trade? It's very simple. What is the sentiment overview? The sentiment overview, even last week, it was risk on dollar aversion. And what that means is that when there is risk on dollar aversion, it means that fund or capital will be flowing away from dollar into dollar aversion currency. GBP and euro, they are dollar aversion currencies. So on the strength of the risk sentiment, I expect that capital inflow into GBP will be higher. That's on the number one. Number two, we have risk on. Risk on means that investors will be pulling their capital from a safe haven into a high yield currency. Now, GBP has 3.75 interest rate, JPY has 0.75 interest rate. The divergence of the interest rate, which means the differences between their interest rate, is 3%. So, and we have risk on sentiment in the market. This is just common sense. If you will now pull your money from safe haven, JPY is a safe haven currency. If you pull your money from safe haven to invest, it is only rational for you to look for the currency that will give you the highest return. Are you getting it now? So, expectedly, the capital flow narrative for GBP JPY is that capital will be flowing massively away from JPY on a predominant level, and capital will be flowing into GBP. So for now, we are only looking out for a buy on GBP JPY. However, look at the technical storyline, because you don't want to just say, okay, this is the sentiment, this is the fundamental, and you neglect the technical. No, our analysis at Potential Miners International is a three-legged, if there's something like that, analysis. We do the fundamental, the technical, the fundamental, the sentiment, and the technical. That's how we do our analysis. Are you getting it now? So you expect that you come to the technical analysis, then you look at your directional bias. I want you to see this. Look at this now. Directional bias is showing that our condition is showing a bi-directional bias. You go for what is the structure? The structure is still a buy. What is the tide? The tide is still a buy. So all other things held constant, this week or next week, we are expecting a buy on GBP JPY. I'm not calling the trade, but that is our expectation. This is how we roll at Potential Miners International. I want to believe that the global macro trading, the global macro with King of Waves is going to really shift the way a lot of forex traders see the market looking forward, because we'll be doing this particular live stream almost every week as God will give us the grace. So I want you to connect and make it a date, that will come here every Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on when we have the time. But I want to believe Tuesday will be better. And I don't know, depending on what we agree at the platform, Tuesday might be our focus time for this particular analysis, or we can make it Monday, depending. But either Monday or Tuesday will be better, because we are looking at the trade for the week. Are you getting it now? So morning on Tuesday, maybe around 10 a.m. on Tuesday or thereabout, we come up and we share this hint of the global macro overview of the forex market and the assets that we are to look out for the week, or for 2 weeks, or for the quarter. And this is what we'll be doing at the platform to just be of assistance to some forex traders that are not really grounded when it comes to fundamental analysis and sentiment analysis. And of course, I want you to really subscribe to this channel if you are seeing this video anytime, and be a part of our community. We are going to come up with a very robust community that we are going to hold ourselves by the hand for a long time, and will massively milk fund of money from the forex market. Till I see you next week or on any of my videos, I remain Mr. Akimbode, the King of Waves. Thanks for listening. Thanks for coming to the live stream. God bless you.